So the time has come to add more animals to my farm to fill the empty void in my soul. Wow! And I know you guys are probably hearing that and wondering, well, what animal is it going to be? And well, that's an absolutely astounding question, and I'd love to tell you guys about it.
Oh, pick me!
Good morning, large white farm dogs. How are you doing? Good to see you guys. How's it going? Hi, pal. Good to see you. All right, let's go. Come on. Let's go. Inside. Come on. Now, I am a firm believer in the principle that if you are new to farming or homesteading, you should only add one animal per year to your farm. Meaning if you're trying to do something different or new, really only do one of those new or different things each year. So in 2018, I added ducks to our farm. In 2019, we added geese to the farm. In 2020, I added livestock guardian dogs to the farm. In 2021, we added cattle to the farm. And this year, we added pigs to our farm. And each year, I was very careful not to add too much new stuff to the farm so that I could learn that one new thing and build on it and make it work with all of the other things that we're doing. And doing things in that manner would help prevent me from getting overly stressed or overwhelmed by trying to do too many new things at once. And yes, I recognize that there is one exception to that rule, in that in August of 2019, the year that we were adding geese, we also added our first chickens to the farm. But I felt okay doing that because chickens aren't that different than ducks and geese, which I'd already been raising. Good morning, wee little chickens. How are you guys doing this morning, huh? They're kind of shy. Here's some fresh food for you guys. Woo. Have some fresh water too. These two just escaped. So I didn't mean to give away the surprise too early in this video, but yes, the new animal that we're adding to the farm are wild ducks. Just kidding, they're just sort of stopping by here. I expect them to be gone by the time the frost starts to settle here on the farm. But that said, I feel like there's no better indicator of success as a provider of waterfowl and waterfowl accessories than the way that wild waterfowl have found our farm to be a very hospitable climate. Particularly as the juvenile geese have moved to the next pasture over, the wild ducks have definitely settled in here. I know that having the wild waterfowl increases the odds of having some sort of avian illness strike the farm, but I'm also fully aware of the fact that there's not too much I can do to control it other than put my birds inside. And keeping my birds inside 24/7 kind of defeats the purpose of having a free-range poultry farm. There is that exposure risk, but it's a risk that I'm just gonna have to live with. Did you look at that? We've got kind of an eerie, misty morning here on the farm. Feels very Scotland over here. Good morning, dirty birds. Speaking of being very Scotland, let's move our Scottish Highland heifers to some new fresh pasture this morning. You know, one thing I've noticed with the juvenile geese versus the older breeding flock, the juveniles like to stay out in the grasses and they do a lot more grazing than the older birds who've gotten used to eating some of the duck food. I know, Bonnie McMurray, you're very excited to move. Well, here we go. Hey, cows, come on, cows. Fresh grass, come on. Hey, cows, come on, Belinda Carlisle. You can come too, let's go. Come on, girls. I know you're excited. I've long since learned to be careful of a heifer who's got her tail all the way up. It usually means something's coming very soon. Dropping bombs. Couldn't have left that at the old paddock, huh? Well, luckily I have the ducks to spread that manure around. The ducks do almost as good a job as the chickens when it comes to manure spreading. You know, one of the most frequently asked questions I get, particularly folks on live stream events and that sort of thing, is everybody wants to know, like, what's gonna be the next animal I add to my farm? And I totally get why. It's exciting, it's something different, it's a new challenge. And quite honestly, for me as the farmer too, adding new animals to the farm is a whole heck of a lot of fun. But the reality of the situation is that adding animals to the farm is also a whole heck of a lot of work. And it would be wildly irresponsible of me to add animals to the farm and not be ready to do that work. And so that right there is another reason why I'm exceptionally careful and cautious before I add any new animal to my farm. All right, we're now adding some shorter watering hoses here because the heifers are closer to the hydrant. I think one of the projects I'm gonna do next year is add more of these hydrants and pretty much have them scattered every 75 feet around the entire farm. Adding those additional hydrants has made my life way easier on the upper pasture, and so I think I wanna do the same thing now for the lower pasture too. You know, I often will see people on the the internet just starting farms, and they have these farm dreams of adding as many animals as they can. Like, they want to do it all. And believe me, I totally get it. I personally want to do it all. Like, having a diversified farm is one of the goals that I have for my farm, is to continue to work to make this place more and more like a true ecosystem. But the inherent trade-off that always exists is the more you add, usually the worse you are at doing all those things that you do. And adding a ton of animals to the farm right out of the gate is probably the easiest way to ensure that you're not gonna have a lot of animals on your farm like 2 years from now. Like, we've all seen that life cycle where somebody adds too many animals to the farm, they get overwhelmed with what they've got on their farm, and then in a year or two from that point, they usually disperse of many of their animals and shrink their farm way down. I've actually been fortunate and I've never had to do that, and I very much attribute that advice to doing one farm animal per year as I've started this farm and over the last 5 years that I've been running this farm. I just moved all the duck feed to a new location. Let's see if they figure out where it is. I find that by rotating the duck feed around, it helps limit the damage that the birds do to the pasture. And so pretty much once a week, I'll move the feeding barrel and their feeding trays to a different spot. Just like about once a week, I'm moving the watering setup to a different spot. I find that this ensures the best spread of resources and helps protect the pastures a little bit better. So far, it looks like everybody's slow going to find the new spot. Oh wow, look at that. You guys see that? There's like some goslings running through this swale that we have. So this swale right here, pretty much ever since the flooding, has been like a little creek. It's dried up a little bit on this side, but I think I have some very clayey soils right here, and so this is like almost a pond at this point. It's kind of cool to have it scattered in amongst the trees. Like here we have a black locust tree. Here we have a chestnut tree. There's another black locust tree that looks dead. So that might have actually been getting too much moisture over in that spot. But let's go see what happened to our birds, huh? I hear one duck. Oh, it's Greta the duck. She's one of my older khaki Campbells. Like, she's been with me since 2018. Come on, Greta, let's go. Come with me. She's often the duck that you see escaping down below. Come on, Greta. You wanna come? No, they still haven't figured out the new feeding location. What you doing, Toby dog? Finding anything good? Keep marking that territory, kid. You know, ducks, I'm glad to learn that you found today's watering location, but the food location is all the way at the end of the row, so you're gonna have to migrate that away if you want food. I'm not too worried, they will figure it out in a little bit. Let's check in with our weird chickens. So we got Bet, Rosette, we got our rooster, Mr. Frizzle, and then I'm guessing inside of here, yep, we've got Lavender Brown, and our broody one, Captain Janeway, who continues to try to lay eggs. I don't know why she does that. And I don't know why I said lay eggs. I mean, she keeps trying to sit on eggs. I've been giving all the silky eggs to the dogs as like a little topper for their meal every day. It goes really well with their favorite new brand of dog food. How's Mama Rosie and her little ones doing this morning? Oh, everybody's looking good. That's good to see. Still got plenty of food, plenty of water. And don't worry, Rosie, I'm not gonna harass you or your babies. You are doing such a good job raising everybody here in the dog barn. I'm just very pleased to see the progress, and I know all the folks at home are pleased to see her progress too. Abby, do you wanna come inside and do some chick practice? I'm gonna let you come in, but you're gonna have to listen to me. So this is actually part of what I'll call advanced training with Abby. She's actually wearing her e-collar, and so if she gets out of line, I give her a vibration. It's like getting a text message. It doesn't shock her, just to be very, very clear. What I want to do is just see if she can be around here, be inside here with Rosie and the babies, and not try to play with them. And so that's what we're going to try to do here. You're being a really good girl, Abby. You're showing zero interest. That's what we like to see. So this space is actually where Toby Dog and Abby Dog live during the winter months, but they don't really use it in the winter because they don't like to be inside. Rosie was able to hatch out her eggs inside this space, and I'm allowing her to raise up her chicks in this space probably for a couple more weeks before I reintroduce them to the weird chicken flock. Your progress is tremendous here, Abby. I'm very happy to see what you're doing. Good girl. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. This would have been unthinkable last summer. She's still showing a little bit too much interest, but that's okay. We'll keep working with her on it. It's by giving her this type of exposure that she ultimately learns to just be chill around them. Yeah, good girl. Wait, what is that? Was that your doing, Abby? Somebody got a mouse. Was that one of the barn cats, or was that you, or was that Mr. Toby Dog? I don't know who it was. Yeah, leave that alone, Abs. Come on, come with me. Now, I know one question folks are gonna have is, how is my experiment going for this year? So pigs were the new animal that I added to the farm this year, and we're getting towards the tail end of that experiment. I have 3 big, healthy pigs. They're, I don't know, probably around 250 pounds now, maybe even a little bit more. They've got a couple more weeks to go before we're gonna do an on-farm butcher date, but they are getting to be big, hefty girls, that's for dang sure. All right, back up, girls. Back up, back up, back up. Hey, back, back, back. Okay, easy, easy. All right. I'll go grab you some apples in a little bit too. They're eating a lot right now. A whole heck of a lot. What you see them consuming right here is actually pig feed. This is the first time I've had to feed them pig feed in almost 2 weeks. They're mostly eating spent brewer's grains, apples, and other vegetable waste. So here's my 60-second review of what it's been like to raise pigs for a year. Let's add the counter clock and maestro some theme music, and let's get into it. So far this year, my experience with raising pigs has been okay. My wife Allison absolutely loves their piggy personalities, but I find them to be a wee bit messy, and I find them to be a wee bit pushy. And so as far as animals go on the farm, they are not my favorite animals to deal with. That said, I have found it to be a wonderful way to manage the land. They've done such a good job in terms of like helping turn woods back into pasture. I really like actually what they do in terms of getting rid of a lot of the brush and scrub. And about 85% of their diet right now has been coming from things other than pig feed, whether it be brewer's grains or rotten fruit or old vegetable scraps or that sort of thing. And so it's been good in that regard. I will not be raising pigs in 2024, but that's not to say that I will never raise pigs again. I just don't think it's right for me, at least as a regular every year type of thing. So yes, that's my review of pigs. You know, I think the way that I've raised pigs this year works really well at a homestead scale, but I don't think it would work as a scalable farm business unless I had some sort of source of food for them on an ongoing basis. Like for example, if I ran a small scale dairy, I could actually see pigs working really, really well. Or if I were to get into like apple cider production or something like that, and I had a lot of apple waste product, I could see that working as well. But like it or not, the #1 crop that I grow here on this farm is grass. And pigs really can't eat grass directly. They need a different animal to convert that grass into food. And to the Weisenheimers out there who are gonna say, no, no, I've seen pigs eat grass. Yes, I've seen pigs eat grass too, but I mean having grass support like 90% of their diet or more, like a goose or a cow. That's just not the case. Back up, there's gonna be plenty of apples for everybody here. You know, more and more, I'm trying to run my farm by answering that question. What do I love most about my farm? What makes the most sense for my farm? And if I won the lottery tomorrow, what would I do differently? When it comes down to it, as I've said before, I wouldn't do all that much more differently. I probably would have fancier equipment. I don't know. That's honestly the only thing I can think of that I would do significantly differently. I would still probably work as hard. I'd still want to work on the farm. I'd still want to make videos for you guys. Like, I get a lot of personal satisfaction and fulfillment from doing those activities. And so when I think about what should I be doing on the farm and what are my favorite activities on the farm, by far, my favorite activity on the farm is being out here on this upper pasture, managing my animals, moving the cattle, moving the chickens. Like, that's my favorite thing to do. Good morning, chickens. And good morning, moo cows. How's the moo crew doing? Looks like you got a nice full water trough. Been doing good grazing. Let's see if baby B will let me say hello to her. Maybe not. But I know Macho Man's always a fan of a pat on the rump. Abby, we gotta respect Macho Man. We don't play with Macho Man, remember that. So given the fact that working with the cattle is definitely my favorite part of the farm, and working with grazing is my favorite part of the farm, and then when I look at the biggest problems that I have around the farm, one of those biggest issues I'm facing is the fact that I have more grass than I do have grazing animals. I'm very much on this mindset of the animal I need to add to the farm is another ruminant. And as I've said before, I absolutely refuse to add goats to the farm. And yeah, I guess I could experiment with something weird like llamas or alpacas, but the two most logical choices would be either #1, I add more cattle to the farm and I just grow my herd significantly and maybe double it in size. Or number two, I go with an entire different species of animal, like perhaps I add sheep. Yes, after a lifetime of bad decisions, here I find myself contemplating being a sheep farmer. But what can I say? Some folks collect stamps, some folks collect cars. Here I am out here in the middle of nowhere collecting animals. Wanna say hi? Hi, sweetie. How's it going, girl? Hey, Kels! Hey, Kels! Come on, Kels! Fresh grass, come on! Hey, Kels! Now, if I were to add sheep to the farm, I would do it in a very careful and measured way. I would really start with 2024 being a test year, and I'd probably get a handful of sheep, and by handful, I mean probably less than 6. And I would just experiment with how I like working with them and if they make sense for me. And then from that point, I'd probably make a decision on how to scale up a flock and like add a specific breed and get into a very, very focused business plan. Because the reality is I could spend a year working with sheep, hate the sheep, and then just want to focus exclusively on cattle. And so that is definitely something I'm considering as well. I think when it comes to the idea of sheep too, I'd probably get sheep that need to be sheared because I'm attracted to the idea of using both the wool and the meat. I think there are a few products I could make with the wool that I could potentially sell to you guys, and so it could be a very good symbiotic business for me from that regard as well. But I'm really curious to hear from you guys. What do you think about that idea? You know, as I've always said before, you're stakeholders in this farm and you're participants in this farm. And so yes, your opinion does matter. And so I'd love to hear what you think. So I guess question number 1 is, do you think it's the right move to add sheep to the farm? Question number 2 is, do you think I'm better off just adding more cattle to the farm? And then question number 3 is, if I add sheep, what type of sheep would you like to see? So let me know that one down in the comments. And meanwhile, you can see we have a lineup here, and so I gotta let these gals into their fresh paddock. Hey, Gils, come on, Gils, fresh grass, come on. Let's go. All the grass you can eat. Go for it, Audrey. Lead the way, girl.